Hi, I'm Tim and this is Timberway Designs. In this series of videos, I take 10 common rocks that anybody out there can find, I cut them in half, and then we get to see what's inside. Then I'll take each one of them rocks and I will make a cabochon out of them to show you what they look like in the cab form, and you can see that in the next episode. And at the end of this episode, I got Tom's rocks he sent from Minnesota. I've made them into cabochons from episode 62. You can see them. I'll put a timestamp here if you want to skip all this good content and just go see the cabochons. I'm okay with that, but no, well, not really. So I got some really cool rocks here I collected on Lake Superior. Let's turn the camera around and let's take a closer look at them. So we got a nice little pile of rocks here I collected along the shores of Lake Superior, and it's really hard to pick out ones for the cutting thing because I like them all and I want to cut them all, but I can only do so many in the video. So let's see what I got here today. So this is a nice chunk of porphyry right here. We'll get it wet in the pool here. Get a closer look at it. That's what it looks like. Feldspar crystals and a host rock of basalt. Looks like it's got a little epidote going in there. Either that or some algae or something. I'm not sure. That'll make a cool cut. Then I got a chunk of amygdaloidal basalt that looks like. Got some quartz or something growing in there. Maybe even porphyry. Not porphyry, prehnite. We'll find out when we cut it open. A little piece of granite here. I like, here it don't look really cool, but yeah, you get these things wet. And look at that. Talking about pop. So that should make a interesting piece. Of course, I got to throw a piece of unakite in here. I really like this stuff. Makes a really good looking cab with the epidote and the feldspar in there. This one here, kind of leaning towards jasper on this one. Kind of like the pattern on it. Hopefully it'll be pretty cool looking on the inside. This one here, kind of a metaphoric rock. Ugh, I'll put the name right down there. I call them sedimentary, but they're really, they start out that way, but after they get squeezed with pressure and heat, they turn into metamorphic. I think that's how you say that. So it's got some interesting stuff going on there. Hopefully a lot of color and pattern. Get this big piece of banded ironstone here. That's what I'm going to call it because it's got a jasper and then hematite in it. But the reason why I put this one in the lineup is look at the pattern on that. If I can get it to focus there. Come on, there you go. Really good pattern. And it looks like it's relatively solid. Usually these things are full of pits and fractures. And a little piece of unakite here. Well, I'm going to call it unakite because there's some epidote and feldspar. It's got some quartz though, so I don't know. Yeah, let's stick with unakite on this one. But I like the orange on this. It just pops. I got this little one here. Not sure what to call this. Maybe amygdaloidal. I don't know. When we cut it open, we'll get a better idea of what's in there. And then this one here. The reason why I picked this one is it's got this really cool pattern right there. And I'm going to try to cut it so I can capitalize on this pattern here. I'm hoping it goes through the rock. So you can see a little bit right there, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm not really sure what this is here. Some kind of jasper maybe. All right, I got these, and then I got a lot of rocks that I pick up through the years, and I got buckets of them in the garage. So I'm gonna start cutting a few extras here. So I got some extras, and the cabs, I'll be making the cabs out of this pile here, not out of this pile here. But I like to see what's inside of them, really, you know, all of them. So you get this one here. It's got kind of a greenish bluish tint to it. I don't know if it's as granite or nice. Got these red streaks. I'd probably lean more towards the nice side. I got this piece of granite, or well, it's feldspar, epidote, and quartz, so that'll put it kind of in a unikite realm there. That'll make some interesting patterns. I got this little piece, I want to think it's Mary Ellen Jasper almost. It's got kind of a swirly pattern going on to it. When we cut it open, we'll find out for sure. Another banded ironstone here. That would be interesting. Got this greenish, I don't know if this would be considered a amygdaloidal or not. Look at that. So when we cut that open, we'll find out more of what's inside here. And then this one, basalt holst rock, quartz, and I don't know. Look at that. Got some, yeah, all kinds of stuff going on in there. So I'm going to take these rocks downstairs. We're going to cut them in half, see what's inside, and then we'll come back upstairs and talk about them a little bit. See you in the saw. So this is my high-tech 10-inch lapidary saw here. They call it a slab saw. I call it a trim saw. It's a lapidary saw. So I'm going to show you something I normally would not do. I got to do a little blade change here. So you take the top off here. And this is the blade. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. It's got a bushing, nut, washer, holds it all on. Take the bushing out. So this screw here is when you tighten it down, it's what holds the blade and the shaft straight. And slide that out there like that. And then it's got a big nut and a washer on there. And I usually, this is how I do it. Try not to drop the nut and the washer in the goo down there. This is usually I try to use my old blades till the gold part's gone here, but after a while they get a little warpy and bumpy, and you know, just not good for doing shows with. So I got a brand new blade here I buy them from Kingsley North. This is the 10-inch, 32 thousandths thick, 5/8 inch. That's it there. And then this is a 1/2 inch washer. I don't need that, so that comes out. And then there's an arrow on here for rotation, right? And there. So I put my own arrows. Put my own arrows on there like that so I can see what's going on, because I change these blades a lot. So get this on here. Washer, nut. Tighten it up. And then this is just a bushing. So you got to put a little grease on it every once in a while. I just use whatever I got laying around. I just got this automotive grease, so just a little bit. You don't need a lot on there. And put your bushing back on. And then get the screw back in there. And we're going to put the cover back on and we're ready to cut. You got to see me change the blade, which I never normally don't show anybody. So I got the 10 rocks here that we're going to cut for the calving series, and I got some extra rocks we're going to cut when we're done with these. So I just want to show you, brand new blade. I'm rubbing my thumb on it right now, and don't even cut the glove. So I'm not going to cut my fingers on this. It cuts using diamonds, not using a point. All right, let's fire this up and start cutting some rocks. Okay, first up, I got this migdaloidal here. I'm going to split it right down the middle. Let's see what's inside this. Hey, first rock, Ep63. Let's see what we got here. Wow. Okay, nothing super special in it. It's like some agate pockets here. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about these upstairs. Got this one here. I think I'm going to split this one off. So did I cut this one the right way? Let's see what we got. Well, that's kind of interesting. Okay. This little one here. I'm thinking I'm going to split this one too. Pattern color, kind of interesting. Looks like it's got some mossy stuff going on in there. Okay, this one here. I'm thinking I'm gonna just carve this side off. All right. Interesting. All right, this one here, like I said, I wanted, let's see, I like this right here. So I think I'm just going to split it in two and see what happens. That one took a while. Could have went out and walked your dog or mowed your grass or something to come back and still be cutting it. Oh, there's some pattern in there. Look at that. I think we cut it the right way. Okay, cut this big chunk of porphyry here. I'm just going to split it right down the center because it's wide enough to do calves. It's going to pretty much look like it did on the outside. I'm looking for no pits. There we go. And it's got some epidote in there, it looks like. Extra. Get this little piece of, what do we call this, unikite, because it's got this epidote streak in it. What we got going in here? Ooh. Epidote streaking. That's going to make a cool looking cabochon. And I got two pieces. Alright, now we got a piece of certified unikite here. Nice epidote streaks on it. Let's cut it right down the middle. Pattern. Yeah, there we go. That's awesome. Got this big chunk of, I think I called it, what did I call it? Iron? I don't know. It's jasper and it's got a cool pattern in it. I'm going to cut this part off here. I already know what the color is. Let's hope for some pattern in here. Ooh, there we go. Wow. And this one here, a little piece of granite. I'll split it. I imagine this is going to look just like this on the inside. Yeah. But it's going to be pretty when it's in a cabochon form. Okay, I got some bonus rocks here. Cut these up. But first, I'm going to touch up the blade here. I use a coarse grinding disc, and usually I just touch it like 3 times, and that's plenty to expose more diamonds. First up is this one, and I'm going to cut this side off here. Look at that. Ooh, unakite. Nice. Since this one jumped ship, it's next. Split it right down the middle. Got going in here like epitope. Yeah, lots of it. Okay, kind of intrigued by this one. Just cut it like that. See what we got. Oh, that is pre-night, and it's pink. Awesome. Might be seeing this in a cabochon form. This little guy here, split it just like that. Pattern and color. Ooh, interesting. Nice pattern. Okay. This one here. I'm just going to split it. Should cut it like this, but it's not thick enough to make a cab, so we're going to split it. See how we did. Well, that's got some pattern in there. Okay. This one here, I think I picked it up because of all the red on there. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it just like that. The red goes through there. Ooh, another cool pattern. Alright, so I'm going to gather these up. We're going to take them upstairs, and we're going to take a closer look at them. So see you up there. We're back upstairs, and there's some really cool looking rocks in here, but there's some really cool looking rocks in the extra ones I cut. So we're really going to take a look at those too. So we'll start with this one here. Run it through the kiddie pole here. Piece of unakite. Got nice pattern, few pits on the outside. Good epidote streak in there. Look at that. I think that'll make a awesome looking cabochons. Isn't that pretty? This little piece of granite here. I like picking this up because we got so much of it up here, and it just, some of it is just absolutely gorgeous. You know, just the pattern in there, it's so cool. I know it, you know, it looks the same on the outside, but it's just got a lot of pop right there. And the granite's been shining really good, and very few pits, and I've been liking it a lot. All right, we got this piece of mignaloidal here. Not sure if this is quartz or calcite. I should probably hit it with a UV. It's got a little pinky going there and green. There's the inside. Looks like almost some agate looking stuff going on. Oh, there's copper. That's pre-night. Right there. I'll try to, that's all copper right there. Okay, that kind of changes how I'm going to cab this one. Kind of neat. I have to come over here and chop on this one. Sometimes you just don't know where to cut these rocks here to get the best out of them, but usually they're big and you can get some pretty good slices of interesting cabbing material. So this one here, I'm kind of leaning towards a jasper on that. I was really interested in this pattern right here. So cut it open and it's just full of pattern. All kinds of pattern. And it's relatively solid. I'm not seeing a lot of pits, so I get a lot of choices in here what to make the cab out of. Look at that. And you would not know that looking at the outside. I think I called this one banded ironstone, but I'm not seeing a lot of banding in here, but there is a cool pattern going on in here. You can see it on the outside. And usually it's hard to find these big jaspers. They're all being all busted up and stuff, but look at that. It's kind of subtle, but it's there. Just hoping it's not full of pits and fractures. That's going to look pretty cool. It's got a little hematite going on in there. And I left a big enough chunk here I can slab this on my slab saw. Alright, got this one here. Kind of sedimentary looking. And look at that. There's some cool pattern there. All kinds of colors and stuff. Even got a little, almost looks like a little agate pocket on the bottom down here. I'll have to figure that in there somehow. Very interesting. All right, this one here. I called this an amygdaloidal, but I think there's another name for this. When I cab it, I'll bring that name out with me. Look at that. Look at the spots in there. That is so neat. Even got some green going on the outside. That's going to be a problem, but I can cab this side here. Yeah, pretty cool. And this one I have to call this unikite because it's feldspar, epidote, and quartz. A little mica in there. Nice streak of epidote running through there. And it's got a lot of pop too. You're going to be able to see this cab from a ways. Look at that. A nice little red jasper here, I think. A little mossy. Look at the pattern in there. See, a lot of times you look at these rocks on the outside, you know, okay. And then when you cut them open, look at that. That is going to be awesome. Then we got this piece of porphyry, feldspar, lava rock. I think it's basalt, and got epidote in there. So this one, and it's got a lot of feldspar crystals. So this is going to make a nice looking cab. And then I cut it so I can slab it and make more out of it. And I've been having pretty good luck with this stuff. I get a decent shine with it. So we'll see how we do with this one here. All right, I'm gonna look at these extra rocks here quick because there are some neat ones in here. I'm really surprised. It's really difficult to pick the 10 rocks for this series because I got buckets of them out there, and you know, and I'm picking them up and they're all looking cool, but some of them are neater than others. So this is looks like a piece of jasper with a lot of pattern in it. Oops. Oh, there it is. Look at that. That's some serious pattern in there. Almost looks like flame. Okay. And then had this amygdaloidal and had prehnite. That's prehnite on the outside. And you can kind of see it's pink and green right there. Look at that. And look at the copper in there. You see the copper flecking all this side here? Look at that. So we might be seeing this one in a cabochon for sure, especially with the pink. It's kind of rare. All right, and then we had this another chunk of unakite here. A lot of feldspar in it. There's that, pretty chunky. There's the inside, look at that. Nice pattern, good mixture. Yep. Another red jasper here. You know, it was kind of layered, but I went ahead and cut it like that way, and look at the pattern in that. Nice smooth cut, beautiful pattern. Got my work cut out for me here. Okay, and then this one here, I thought I can see some quartz, little epidote, host rock, then you cut it open, look at the pattern running through this thing. Isn't that just gorgeous? And finally this one here, not really sure what this is. Kind of, there's the outside right there. I thought maybe nice, but I don't know. Maybe schist? I don't know. Look at the pattern. Isn't that crazy? All right, I'm gonna make cabochons out of these rocks right here. I might make a couple cabochons. We'll see how my time's doing. So you'll see the cabochons for this one in episode 64. So let's move these out of the way, and we'll look at the rocks that I made cabochons out of the rocks that Tom sent me. Now I got some cabs I made out of the rocks from episode 62. These are the rocks that Tom sent me from Minnesota. And there was some really nice rocks here. I cut some extras, but I didn't have time to make any cabs out of those. But there'll probably be cabs made out of those eventually. So we had this one here, kind of pinkish looking on the outside. A little white water here and remind you what it looked like. Had some really soft bands in there. Had a crack right there though. Well, here's cabochon. Look at that. Not a super shine, but a good shine. You can see the bands in there. It finished, I thought it finished pretty good. So there is original rock, and there's cabochon I made out of it. I had this green one here. I have no idea what this stuff is. Beautiful. It's just kind of a bluish, pretty light bluish, pretty green. Well, it made an absolutely gorgeous cabochon. Look at that. Nice shine. A few little pits in there, but I ain't gonna worry about those. I love the color on this one. So there's original rock. There's cabochon I made out of it. We had this sedimentary rock here, more metamorphosite. I can't remember that word. Had some really tight little bands in there. Made a gorgeous cab. Look at that. Beautiful shine. Kind of cool. Got some color in there. There's the original rock, and there's cabochon I made out of it. This is the one that had the red streak running through there, kind of quartzy looking. And it was kind of cool because the red streak went into the rock like that. And here's the cabochon I made out of it with the red streak. Beautiful shine. Kind of a greenish with some black in there and the red stripe. Got everything this rock had to offer. So there is original rock, and there's cabochon I made out of it. We had this lightning stone looking rock here. Call it a mignoidal with quartz in it. Love the pattern. There's cabochon I made. Got a nice shine on it. Got a good chunk of the pattern in there. Actually, it wasn't as white on the inside as it was on the outside. It had kind of a yellowish tint to it. So there is the original rock, and there's cabochon I made out of it. Had this cool looking chunk of unakite here. It's just gorgeous. Look at that. Oh, here's the cabochon. I made an equally pretty cabochon. Good chunk of epidote, feldspar, little mica in there. Look at that. So there's the original rock, and there's the cabochon that came out of it. So I had this piece of stripy rock here, and I have more comments on the shape of this, and they wanted me to make a cabochon like this, and I don't do hearts because this part here is really tough because you got to work on the edge of the wheel. I tried a couple and I just didn't like doing it, but you may see this rock again, and I might face polish this and just sell it as a specimen shaped like a heart. Well, it made an absolutely beautiful cabochon. Beautiful shine, strong pattern. Look at that. So there's the original heart-shaped rock, and there's cabochon I made. So he sent a Lake Superior agate, and you know, you listen to me whine about not liking cutting these things, but they are very pretty on the inside. Now this one had a good chunk of quartz in it, had some fortifications along the edge down here. Had some little eyeball thingies going on there. Of course, it made an absolutely beautiful cabochon. There it is. I managed to get some of the fortifications on the side, mostly quartz though. There's the back. Look at that. And then there's some eyeball. There's one right there. Come on, focus. There's one right there. Had a little fracture on the tip here, but I think we're okay there. So there's the original rock, and there is the cabochon I made out of it. Had this little chunk of quartz with zigzaggy pattern running everywhere in it. Kind of cool. I made a cabochon out of it. That looks kind of cool. Look at that. Beautiful shine. Got a nice pattern. There's the original rock, and there is the cabochon. Now this one here, I didn't think it was going to amount to much because I couldn't tell, but when I cut it in half, it had hematite in it. You can kind of see this metallic and the dark brown stuff. I had a hard time with this rock here. There was my first attempt when I was trimming it out that it busted the tip off. Here's my second attempt when I was trimming it out and this whole chunk fell out here. So I got nervous and I marked out 2 cabs. This one come out really nice. Look at that. And look at the shine from the hematite. That is just pretty. It's got a few little pits, but man, I really don't care. It is just gorgeous. And it didn't fall apart. So I had a backup just in case. And there's this one here. Look at that. They both survived. Just gorgeous. Look at the hematite. So there are the cabochons, and here's a chunk of the original rock. So I'm going to let Tom pick out 3 of these cabs since he sent the rocks, and then the rest of them will end up on Etsy. And I've been pretty good. I think I'm all caught up. So I'm trying to get them on by the weekend. So keep an eye out for them if you're interested in them. So let's flip the camera around and finish this up. Well, I hope you enjoyed everything I did here today. The Lake Superior rocks were awesome. Now, let me know in the comments, do you like me cutting a few extra rocks? Because usually when people send me rocks, they'll send me 15, because I ask for extras just in case I need an extra one to cut, because in case one is not very good. And then I have so many Lake Superior rocks laying around here. I'd be cutting them all the time, but I want to share it with you out there so you can see what's inside of them. But let me know what you think. And because I'm not trying to make the videos too long, but my videos have kind of been getting shorter. I don't know if it's because I'm getting better at it, or I don't say as much, or I don't know what the deal is. And then Tom's rocks, are awesome. I knew they were going to come out. I had a little trouble with that last one with breaking on me, but we got 2 really nice cabs out of it. And, you know, superior agate, where can you go wrong there? So like I said, I'll let Tom pick 3 and then the rest will end up on Etsy. I can't say enough with the subscribers out there. You guys are just knocking it out of the park. I really appreciate it. And all you viewers out there, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. Absolutely free. Slide down there, push the button, and then everybody slide over. Give me a thumbs up because that gets the analytics out there so my videos can get out there and be seen by everybody. And you can hyperlink it on your mobile device, push that bell button so you get notifications, and then oh, what's the third? Oh, share it. You can share it with people. So this video comes out every Wednesday, and then I have another video that comes out every Saturday. So even if you don't get a notification, just look for my videos. Every 8 o'clock in the morning, Central Standard Daylight Time, my videos come out. So I'm going to put these on a playlist, this video here, so you don't have to go hunting around for them. And then I'll have the video of when I cut Tom's rocks in half if you want to go back and look at those being cut and then come back and see the cabochons. So I appreciate everybody coming along and watching. I really do. That's all I got, and I'll catch you later.